Hi, I'm Codie Elaine Oliver, co-creator of Black Love. Shout out to my co-creator and husband, Tommy. And this is My New BFF, the podcast where I have candid conversations with people that I deeply admire and get to know them beyond what they're known for in the world. Today, we're joined by Melanie Fiona, who might just end up being my new BFF and yours after we learn all that makes Melanie, Melanie. I don't want to give it away, but she made a YouTube video after becoming a mom, and the response to the video was life-changing. You're not going to want to miss this story, so stick around. I am joined with Melanie Fiona today, two-time Grammy Award-winning Canadian singer-songwriter. Little known fact. Well, not little known fact, but I didn't know that for a while. A wellness advocate who's toured with several acclaimed artists, including Kanye West, Alicia Keys, Mary J. Blige, D'Angelo, just to name a few. As a mom of a 4-year-old and creative entrepreneur, Melanie's portfolio continues to expand as a champion of voices and inspiration at the intersection of music, motherhood, and wellness. I'm just so thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be
anything?
Here. And girl, I'm West Indian. I'm Caribbean, so I cook up a mean shrimp curry, and that's that.
While singing on IG Live, I did
do that.
So I'm trying to figure out how we met.
So it's funny because I was trying to remember this too, and I remember it was at Mel White's Walk Talk at Runyon Canyon.
Yes.
And
my friend Liz, I don't know. Okay. You remember that part? So my friend Liz goes to this, or used to go to this restaurant that's very kid friendly. And she had already said at some point, she was like, Melanie Fiona be there sometimes with her little boy. Like she had already said that to me at some point. And so we both go on the walk, and you're there and we're there with I know Brooks was with me, but I don't remember if Easton was with her. But so we just started talking.
Yes, you guys came over. I saw Liz, and she was just like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me. We're at the restaurant." And my son is crazy because at that time, and I'm not exactly how much older. I know Cam is. Much. Yeah, Cam is a little older than Easton.
So Easton and my son Brooks are a day apart, and their birthday's in October. So
wild. So I remember at that time being a new mom, it was a very sensitive issue, and I was very aware of what it was to be a new mother. And so every time I would see a new mom, I immediately, like, my focus was always is she good? Is the baby good? Are they good? Like, I always was just very drawn. And so, I mean, Easton is such a beautiful baby, and they're such a beautiful couple. Mm-hmm. And so our son Cameron was totally drawn to the baby. And so we would see each other. And, it was always a very casual and passing friendly thing. And we said a quick hello. And then when I saw you guys on the walk, and I was introduced to you, and obviously I was a fan of what you do. And I had been wanting to know you. And so, to the testament of motherhood, it brought a beautiful group of women together that have now fortified and built some great relationships. So I'm happy to be here with you one-on-one now. Yeah.
That Black Motherhood Club.
Shout out.
Yes. And I would say I've learned so much about you since. I obviously respected you, your work. Of course, the Black Mom Club, immediately, that's just all I need a lot of times. Oh, okay. And our kids are so close in age. So for me, it was just oh, awesome, right? Another mom. And I feel like I've just learned so much about you and your journey. And I would say not even in that order. I've observed you being such a thoughtful, spiritual, inspiring person for me, and learned more about, how and when that started to change for you since in bits and pieces. So this is exciting for me to be okay, I really want to talk about it. I hope to gain some of that, right?
Girl, I'm shocked because I'm over here. You got 3 babies, you got 2 at the same time. You got a 2-for-1 deal. You run a successful business. So the admiration is matched. Trust me when I tell you, I feel tell me something, because I can barely hold it down with 1. So, it's cool. Thank you so much for that.
Of course. And thank you. My first question, because I am who I am, and even though this show is not a love show, is important to me to understand who taught you the most about love in life.
Definitely my mother. Definitely my mother. My mother is a nurturer. I mean, in every aspect of life, from her family to her friends to her gardening to the way that she cooks. My mother is a lover. I mean, she just loves her family. everything she does is because she loves it.
Mm-hmm.
Even when she was tough on us growing up, it's interesting because sometimes when you look back and you think, oh, my parents were so hard on me or my parents were so tough, and then you hear certain situations, there's a part where even in my mom's toughness and her strict rules of growing up, I always felt loved underneath it. It never felt like it was abuse or a lack of love. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? She really did. She taught me about love and what it looks like unconditionally and to fight for it. And I know that I have a lot of that in me as well. And I'm very thankful. And I see the way I show up for my family now. And I see the way that I have been able to be a voice for people in the aspects through song, through
Right.
talking, through conversation, through community. And I know that all of that wisdom comes from having such a strong presence of a woman in my life and just someone who loves and just loves
Mm-hmm.
and loves, and she loves so much to the point it hurts. And I identify with her more now as a woman, because as a child, you grow up and you look at your mom and you think they're supposed to have all the answers. And
Right.
then you get older and you start living your own life and you're like, oh, wow, you were just really trying to figure it out too. But in that, you still just would throw yourself down to love for everyone around you. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's my mom.
I hope that my kids say that about me.
Mm,
I like to think that that I put forth that same effort and energy, but I hope that
mm-hmm.
my kids see that.
They will.
So I want to jump right in because as I mentioned, I see you in person and in, social media,
Mm-hmm.
as someone who's always yearning to learn more about yourself, yearning to grow, yearning to find peace. I've seen a few things where you've talked about sort of where that began for you, really prioritizing your mental wellness.
Yeah.
And I know that motherhood's a big part of it. And I think it started, or at least you're sharing it with us, started with this YouTube video that you decided to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to just talk about that moment for you, summarize it a little bit, like why that was important to you. And I also want to talk about it too, about the content.
So I would say that, I guess, in recognizing, I think what my purpose was in music, and I'd probably say, so I want to just go to 2012 because I really feel like that's when my spiritual journey started, to like my awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from there, that's what then unfolded the next chapters of my life, including motherhood. And that came from going through a very dark place of life, of not owning and recognizing the power that I have within myself, the intention that you must lead a life with, um, how powerful your words and your actions can be within yourself to manifest the life that you see that's in front of you. And so after going through like a very rough breakup, major professional changes, I hit a very low point in my life. And that actually brought challenge to my vocal cords because
Mm.
I was blocked through an energy block. And so that forced me to say, what is it that is grounding you to life? What is it that is going to keep you here and solid, faith-based, when everything else is in flux, so that you don't lose yourself? Because when my voice was challenged, and it wasn't a physical, like, oh, you have an issue with your vocal cords, it was 100% an energy situation. And I was holding all of my trauma and hurt feelings and things that I didn't get to say and process right here. And it attacked my instrument. And that was my wake up call. And so from that point on, everything became very intentional about everything that I was doing, from my friendships to my business to my relationships, which then brought me to my fiance now.
So wait, how did you know that in terms of the energy, right? It's something that I'm learning now, how big energy plays a role, but to understand the specificity of that, like where did that come from for you?
It's actually twofold. It was two people in my life. Someone I used to work with on my management team, who is a very spiritual man, is very religious. And he came to me one day and he had the conversation with me about, like, do you talk to God?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, and it doesn't matter. This is not a conversation about religion. He's like, do you talk to your higher self? Do you talk to the thing that is bigger than all of us? Do you have faith that even in hard times that you see yourself as a light? And when you allow external factors to creep into your life, it's like putting a veil over a lamp. It gets dimmer and dimmer, and that light is not able to shine as bright. And he reminded me of the light that he sees me for. And I am forever grateful of that, because hard times can weigh on us and
Right.
can cause us to lose focus of who we are in life. or to not even remember to be on the journey of discovery for that. You just get so caught up in the idea of, and at that time I had just put out my second album. I had just won Grammys. Life was in such a huge like high and low part for me that I was like, well, what does this all mean? And that was one conversation that changed it for me. And then it was a doctor. My doctor that I was seeing in New York at the time, he, although practiced Western medicine, 100% believed in Eastern medicine and would often facilitate his own treatment with Eastern medicine. And after going to several doctors, ear, nose, and throat specialists, vocal teachers, he said to me, he said, like, look, are you open to trying an alternative form of therapy? And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, well, have you heard of Reiki? And I was like, yes, I've heard of Reiki, and he was like, I believe that what's happening with you is energetic. And one doctor actually that he had sent me to too, he asked me, he said, what kind of a year have you had? Because your vocal cords look fine, but I just want to ask a personal question. And I was like, all right. And he said, what kind of year have you had? And I said, no one's asked me that. And when I started to talk about the year that I had had, from all the highs and the lows and the changes and the great success and the heartbreak of despair, and I was like, oh, it's a lot. And he said, I once saw a man who had a perpetual cough that no one could diagnose what was wrong. And he's like, and after a few sessions with him, I was able to uncover that his wife and his daughter had died in a car accident. And he had essentially just been choked up for 6 years after their death.
Wow.
And that feeling, that feeling you get before you cry?
Yes.
That thing, that choked up feeling that we feel. He was just in a state of choked up. And it really forced me to say, get in touch with your feelings. What are you processing? What are you holding on to? What is ailing you? What is there? And so I started the journey of that. And that's really where it began for me. And once I got on that journey, my life changed significantly.
Wow.
I had one of the most successful years, as far as I had just left my major record label, but in that time had presented with so many more opportunities in that year because I had just committed to being happy, healthy, and creative. And I said, if it doesn't fit those boxes, I'm not doing it. And I ran a marathon with Nike. I did brand endorsements that I had never done. I made more money that year than I had ever made in the previous years. I met now the love of my life, and my life really just started to bloom once I stepped into that conscious state of putting my wellness and an intention for my life as priority. And then everything else fell into suit.
I love that. I mean, it's so important.
It is. And that's that's the backstory for that. And then I think that changed everything that I started to do moving forward as far as my career and my presence and my voice, and recognizing that it was important to have transparency and truth. And, shortly after that, I got pregnant. And I remember at the beginning of my pregnancy, it went from extreme joy to extreme fear and anxiety. And what I recognized the fear and anxiety was coming from, obviously the unknown of, like, of course, like, who knows, but I'm in a loving relationship. This is the person I plan to be with for the rest of my life. Here we are building a family. And then the fear and the narratives of what women have experienced in the public eye and in the industry, the seeds that were planted in me, the uncertainty and the insecurity all started to pop up.
Right. How would your professional life change in part due to becoming a mom?
Exactly. What would people think? What does this mean for my journey as far as being available to perform? Will opportunities be removed from me? Will people judge me? Will I be less desirable? And these are all things that we've heard over years. I feel like right now we're living in a time where we're breaking a lot of those notions and those judgments within ourselves and within men in business as well, and women in business. Let's be clear. That stole some joy for me in the beginning. And I had to really process that. And then, of course, like trying to hide the pregnancy. I'll tell you what, if I ever have another child, I would never do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, I might as well just tell the world.
How long did you hide?
I mean, I couldn't hide for long. I'll text you the picture. I was showing it 5 weeks, girl.
Oh,
yeah. So it was a constant anxiety attack every time I had to go out, be like, what am I going to wear? And and that's the thing, is that, like, I hadn't processed what I was getting ready to go into, and my body was changing so fast. And I was so worried about being called out. Like a blog, a photographer catching me. Oh, she's getting fat. She's putting on weight. What is that? A baby bump? What's going on? Who's the baby daddy? Like all these things that I had witnessed and seen other women be subject to and victim of. And it was not nice. And I let those things steal joy from me. And I would never do that again. And I would never, if I saw a girlfriend or a friend appear, that I would be like, never allow any of that to steal your joy in the beginning of your pregnancy. But once I got over that, and we told our families, and I knew I wanted to, I shot a music video to reveal my pregnancy. Once I started to just own that this was what it was going to be, and I was like, this is a part of my life. This is who I am becoming. And I knew that I had to stand in that, and I had to be honest about that. And so then I started sharing pictures, and I shot the music video for I Want It All. And, that song being what it was saying to everybody, no, like, I don't want to live under the confines of somebody telling me that I have to choose.
Right.
I want to be able to live my fullest life. And here's the revelation of what this looks for me. I'm going into motherhood. And the response was so positive. And so I knew from that moment I had to continue keeping the narrative going. I had to continue sharing. I had to continue saying when it was difficult and when I couldn't get my shoes on. And then I had my son. And then that was like the video that you're referring to. And, and I called it was time to tell the truth, because I felt like there were so many glorified, glamorous, edited versions of what birth and motherhood looked like at that time for women in the public space. The snapback, the perfect labor, here's my video blog, I look beautiful, all these just picture perfect depictions, and that's a beautiful thing. That's the reality for some women, and God bless. But mine was not that. Mine was not that, in full transparency. Mine was very traumatic, and I didn't feel prepared for it. And so after having to experience things I had read about in books preparing for labor that were like 1 in 40,000, 1 in 4 million, things that happened to me during my labor, 6 weeks out, I was still processing the disappointment of it not going the way I had expected or seen it to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone had been asking, well, where is she? It's been 6 weeks. Where is she? And where's the baby? And we haven't seen her much. And I didn't want to put up a post that was, hey guys, just here being a fabulous Grammy Award winning mom and everything's great. And I felt like I owed it to myself and every woman who had been with me along my journey from girlhood to motherhood, or maidenhood to motherhood, to tell the truth. And it was a beautiful exercise for me in holding myself accountable for what I said I wanted to be, which was transparent and truthful and real, and to have a responsibility to allow women to feel like they're not alone. And there's nothing wrong with acknowledging and feeling what your experience is, even if it doesn't look like everyone else's. And, oftentimes when you are a public figure, there's this expectation that your life is perfect and everything is wonderful and you're rich and it's like, you're a human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your life journey is just different than everyone's. And that does not make you immune or exempt to any sort of hardship in any capacity. It can be of all kinds. So that was where the journey began for me. And I knew I had to kind of just move with that, with everything that I did moving forward.
I know that you were processing the labor, in the early postpartum period. Did doing the video first and then releasing the video, did that relieve some of that anxiety and discomfort? Like, did you immediately feel better and like less weight?
Yes, I did. And I was, there was that hesitation of, is this too much? Because at first I just did it for myself and I didn't know whether I was going to put it out. And I didn't know what it was going to be. And I ended up just speaking for like 20 minutes. The video is like 20 minutes long and I'm crying. And you see the range of emotions of me trying to hold back the tears, to not being able to pausing to catch my breath. And when I watched the video back, I felt proud of myself. I felt proud of myself that in 6 weeks, I was able to at least have a discussion with myself about being honest. And so I just said to myself, I was like, there is no benefit to you holding this just for you. Like, you need to put this out and do not edit it and do not filter it down or make it what it wants to be for other people. This is what it is. Mm-hmm. And be brave and do it. And I put it out, and I remember thinking like, okay, this is a lot. Like, I've never shared this much of a personal part of myself. And like I said, the response was just, it was so overwhelming. I had no expectation. 5 people saw it. If one person saw it and it made one woman feel better, I was just like, this is why you're putting it up. And then it just went viral, and yeah. And it was just like confirmation that it was like, you're doing good work. And then it also reminded me that even if it's hard to do it for yourself, there was an energizing feeling to be able to do it for other people. That act of service, that responsibility to, I guess for me, like, I've always been that person where, like, the girl crying in the bathroom over her heartbreak in the club, I'm there. I'm like, forget the party. Like, girl, are you okay? Like, do you need a ride home? Can I get you some water? This is where I feel most energized. This is what actually inspires me to keep going. It's that pouring into other people.
Hi, everyone. I had to take a minute to answer a question we always get asked. Where can I watch the Black Love docuseries? Where can I watch Black Love shows like Couch Conversations, Doula Dads, Male vs. Man, Moms with Coffee? Well, Tommy and I created a solution. The Black Love Plus app is available to download now for free, thanks to our friends at Target, and it includes all your favorite Black Love content, including some of our live events that you might have missed, filmed for you and available now on Black Love Plus. You can download it wherever you get your apps, Apple TV, Roku, your Android, your iPhone. Just do it today. Download Black Love Plus.
What's up, guys? This is Anthony Clark.
And I'm Melanie Clark.
And we've got some exciting news for you all.
Now, most of you know us from season 4 of the Black Love Doc, but what you might not know is that Anthony and I have been successful life and relationship coaches for over 20 years.
That's right. And we're bringing our revolutionary style to our brand new podcast, The Amazing Clarks. Every week, we're going to get down to the emotional, mental, and energetic causes underlying the lack of your success in your romantic life and in your personal life.
And we'll be giving you tangible advice that will get you the wins that you deserve.
Don't believe us? Tune in each week, and I guarantee you that you're going to find out right away why we have an industry-shattering 90% client success rate.
So make sure to keep an eye out for our brand new podcast, The Amazing Clarks, coming up on March 16th on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
So since that day, which was 2016, right? What events or other times do you feel like you have held yourself that accountable to your truth, to your vulnerability?
It would be the most recent changes I've experienced in my career. I had to make the decision to part ways with everybody that I had been working with thus far and change the trajectory of my life and what I wanted for myself. And it was terrifying, but I had recognized that I had to discover myself in a new way, and I wasn't going to be able to do that with who I was previously. And so I had to let go and unlearn a lot of the things that I had been doing and isolate myself to be able to find who I am now so that I can create the life and the narrative and the story for myself moving forward. And so that went, that was a terrifying thing, to have to make that shift to say, music is not going to be the only thing you're going to want to do with your life moving forward. This thing that you have built an entire career off of in the last 10 years, you've had success, you have had, recognition and respect, and this is what people know you for. And to allow myself to see that my wingspan was right here and that it could be here was what I needed to own and hold myself accountable and hold myself to the fire for. And that was, I really owe it to motherhood that did that to me, because I really realized that we're not intended to be the same people who we've always been. And just because the comfort level of other people, and I shared this on my Instagram recently, that like I've lost a lot of followers in recent months because people are still looking for where's the music? And, the reason why music hasn't come out is a whole other conversation, and which I'm sure I will share in its full transparency in its time. But, that having to have those questions and not feel the need to explain myself, just to be who I am and just transition and grow, is where I hold myself accountable. And again, it's interesting because they say life goes in 7 years. I would say 7 years after that first awakening, I now was experiencing another awakening. And it was almost like the universe being like, this is not your first time. You have already been here in some capacity before. Use what you have learned to get you through this cycle. Use what you have learned to be better and to grow the same way you did that next time. Use what you know to level up. Even though it's been extremely difficult in a lot of transition, I have been managing it, I would say, very well.
Yeah.
And it shows in how I've been able to communicate with the listening audience now.
So that leads me to my next question, which is what are your practices or routines that help you stay rooted in your truth, your transparency, and when did they begin?
I think once I started to own what my life encompassed, and that was music, motherhood, and wellness. And in really breaking those things down into very specific roles in my life, I feel like I was able to pinpoint what my narrative had to be moving forward on a daily and public basis. And so that went from way I communicate with my partner, to mending relationships I had in my life, to being transparent with myself, being calling myself on my bullshit, being really all right, are you really practicing what you're preaching right now? Because you got to. And then from a public standpoint, and this all involves meditation. This all involves stillness. This all involves sacrifice and removing of certain habits and practice. Also, I'll say this. I grew up being a very regimented, structured person, and it brought a lot of anxiety into my life. The desire to be a people pleaser and a perfectionist. The thing that I operate from now is grace and patience and forgiveness and compassion for myself and others.
Wait, will you say it again?
Grace, patience, forgiveness, and compassion. Because those things allow me to get past the moments where you feel stuck on something, or what someone did to you or said to you or didn't work out, or opportunity didn't work out. And it's just kind of you didn't get to it today. It's okay. Honor what you were able to get done today. That opportunity didn't work out. That's okay. There's always something that will be revealed as to why something worked or it didn't work out. I always love to say, who's to say what's good or bad, right? What might seem like a terrible thing in the moment might reveal itself to be a true blessing in the end. And so to not get attached to the expectation or the disappointment of one or the other, even right now, here's one of the things, this is my Zen den. This is the space that I created for myself in my house, where I come. And once that curtain closes, I'm free to do what I want to do in here, whether that's create, play with my singing bowls, go through my earth magic cards, which I love for they're fun for direction. They're, some people would say tarot, but they're not really tarot cards. They're kind of just affirmation cards. If I want to take a nap in here, if I want to just burn incense and meditate, if I want to practice guitar, creating a space for myself, whether that's including physical, literal, and mental, to always come back to the reset, to ground. And so, going to a therapist, very important for me. Going for body work as far as acupuncture and cupping and energetic healing. These are things I rely on heavily. And I've been working on taking the pressure off. That everything you're doing is enough. Everything you're doing is enough. It's all fine. It's all fine. And that has really helped me manage worry and stress and anxiety in my life.
And would you say that Jared, your fiance, partner for life, is has he always been super supportive? Has he always gotten it? Is he the same? Is he doing some of these same things himself?
I would say that when we met, I was the one who opened him up to all of these things. And he definitely went with me on the journey. He did. We're very different in it, in a space where, as far as like my emotions are very guiding and his brain is very guided. So I respond based off of how I feel. He responds off of how he thinks. And so it's a good balance for us, to be honest, because I allow him to go a little deeper into the feeling aspect of things. And then he also allows me to not go too deep into the emotions where it gets dangerous. Mm-hmm. So he is very supportive. Even sometimes when he looks at me and he's just like, you crazy girl. But, you know, I know that he respects it, and I know that he admires it, and I know that he values it as far as the benefit that it's brought to our relationship.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I think that's hard too sometimes, is when your partner's not in that same space. Not that he's in a bad space. You know, it's not about bad or good. It's just different. But sometimes asking, okay, hey, I need 30 minutes to go do nothing, right? Like, just that part of it, especially when you have a child. Like, when you don't, that's a whole nother, I don't even know what that's like. But when you do, and you have to sort of ask for time, you have to ask for space. That sometimes feels like one of the biggest barriers to, like, I can't go meditate while he got to watch these kids, you know? But it's, you know, helpful to be reminded that I know it will make me better. He understands it will make me better, and thus us better. I need that reminder.
You know, we all need that reminder. And it's interesting because in the phase of life that I'm at right now, I have a lot of time, especially through the transition of how I'm pivoting in my career. I give myself the time to figure it out. And so, like, for example, like, I remember one day, he was like, what are you doing today? I was like, oh, I'm going to a therapy session, and then I'm going for acupuncture, and I'm going to go to a Reiki class. And this was like one day. And he looked at me like, I want to go to a Reiki class. And I looked at him and I was like, you can make time to go to a Reiki class anytime you want. And I gave him a kiss and I left.
But not today.
But that's the thing. No, actually, like, Cam was at school. So, like, you know, it wasn't a matter, but it was my reminder to him that, like, you can choose to carve that time out for yourself if you want to. You know, and I felt like what he was saying in that time was like, damn, I got all these things to do. I got these meetings to go to, and da 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 da. And I'm always reminding him, your life is your own.
Right.
Your life is your own to choose what it is that you want to do with it. And so, you know, he looked at me like, you're right. Like, I could just be like, hey, I'm not free from 12 to 1 because I'm going to meditate.
And more of us should do that.
People are afraid.
Okay, a couple of fun questions for you.
Yeah.
If you could put out a billboard or, you know, pay for something to be on a billboard with anything on it, what would it say?
A billboard, and it could say anything. Wow, this is tough. I have so many life things that I live by, that are coming to mind, things that I always try to keep in mind. There's two things that I've been kind of rooted in for the last little while. And I'm trying to pick one, but it's really hard.
No, okay. Two billboards.
Okay, two billboards. Thankful for your triggers because they let you know where you are not free. And direction is more important than speed.
Be thankful for your triggers because they let you know where you're not free.
Yes. And direction is more important than speed. Now, see, when I think about the trigger ones, that one is like what I would want people to really recognize, because I feel like I think not enough people are focused on what their triggers are and why they do the things that they do, what their traumas come from, what they're trying to heal from, if they're even aware that they need to heal from anything. So I feel like that one is very important for the public. And then direction is more important than speed is one that I'm just really enjoying living by right now, because that rush to get to a destination is just not real. Like, the moment right now is what's important, one day at a time. If there's anything that I think we've seen in the last little while, as far as current events, life, things that I've personally been through, is that rushing to get to a place that we might never get to is just wasted energy and wasted moments on enjoying what's happening right now. And so as long as you are giving yourself the space to move in the direction that you would like to go for your life, you're going there. You're going there, but make sure you're enjoying it right now, and make sure that you are present in it right now. That is, like, very, very important.
I love both of those. What is something that you wish you spent more time doing 5 years ago?
Something I wish I spent more time doing 5 years ago. Wow. Something I wish I spent more time doing 5 years ago. Learning an instrument. Learning an instrument.
You know
Yes.
which one?
Guitar, which is back there. And, but again, it's never too late to be great. I started taking guitar lessons a few weeks ago. So,
Right.
Here we are. But yeah, I wish, because then right now I would just be writing songs all day long and just putting out music on SoundCloud acoustically, just me and the guitar.
Okay, one more.
Okay.
What can you do today that you were not capable of a year ago?
Wow, these questions. Going for it. Going for the deep thoughts. Okay, what could I do a year ago? No, what could I do now that I could not do a year ago?
Mm-hmm.
I did not have this space.
Nice. That's good.
I did not have this space. I did not have the space or even just the direction to even create a semi space.
When did you build it? Or, not build it, but
Yeah, well, no, like recently, like we moved and this was a dining room and it was just an empty space for a long time. And, I knew that this was something that I needed to do, but even at our other place where we were living, I could have done it. I just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came into this space, I just said, you're in the right space now. It's time. Like, because I knew again that I was on the journey and I was closer to knowing what I needed. And when you identify what you need, when you really do, I was like, all right, to get to the next thing, this is what I need. And so a year ago, yeah, I wasn't capable of carving out this space for myself in this time. I was busy running around, trying to figure it out. The kid, it was all of it. And then we came here and I was like, no, you need this space. You owe it to yourself. And whatever you are working towards deserves this space. So create it. And that's how I did.
Do you call it your Zen den?
I call it my Zen den. Even my son calls it the Zen den. Everyone calls it the Zen den. I do these little Zen board affirmations from here. I put it on my socials and I call it Zen den flow. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, this is where I come in here. This is my Zen den. This is where I come to ground and be me.
Do you let Jared borrow your Zen den?
I invite him in sometimes. He has an office and that's his Zen den.
Got it.
And then there'll be some times where I am in here and, I'll be in here and I'll be like, come in here with me. Mm-hmm. And sometimes he comes in and we like relax. There's like a little like bed couch thing and we'll sit and we'll relax and talk. And then some days he comes in here and I'm like, your energy is not right. Get out.
I love it.
I do. I'm just like, no, whatever mode you're in is not the vibe in here right now. You got to go. So, yeah.
I love it. Oh, man. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been just amazing just to learn more about your transition, your evolution as a woman, as a mom, and reinforcing a lot of the things that I know I'm feeling heavily right now. And like, when you're getting those messages from different places, you have to listen. And I think one of the things that is huge with me right now that I'm just hearing, I'm getting this message from everywhere, is that the notion of energy and energy really being a source of positivity or negativity in our bodies as it relates to illness, as it relates to hardship. And that, this is something that I noticed as well, is that energy for some people is religion. We need to recognize that we're all talking about the same thing in that space. Whether you believe what you believe in, you've got to remember when you're having pain, when you're having, physical challenges, it's important to believe better, to believe I'm going to be okay as long as I continue to put something positive in my mind and in my body.
1,000%. 1,000%. Absolutely.
All right, girl. I'm going to take that with me.
Take it with you, girl. Put it under your pillow at night. Let it talk to you while you sleep.
For real. For real. Next, I'm going to start researching crystals so I can really figure out what to put under my pillow at night.
I got you. Just let me know. Let me know. I got the whole barrage of whatever you need. Okay. I mean, I have been as specific as going into crystal stores and being like, I need something for detachment.
Yeah.
They will be like, here.
I love it.
And I will say this, everything you're looking for is out there. Whatever you're looking for, whatever it is that you need, it is out there. And what you are seeking is seeking you. So stay on your path, and whatever you are needing and what you are looking for, it will find you. It will find you. It will find you.
I will take it. I will take it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know about y'all, but I am working on my Zendin as we speak. I just love Melanie's honesty and her resilience from, honestly, some of her lowest points. Make sure you show her some love on Instagram at Melanie Fiona. And thanks for joining me on My New BFF. Don't forget to give us a review so others can join us on this journey. And please don't forget to subscribe so you're the first to find out who will be my new BFF.